British Columbia Institute of Technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh.
From the Broadcast Center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus, this is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Hello and welcome to your late afternoon cast to 3:30. My name is Grace Chen. Today marks 1 week since the pro-Palestinian protests began at the University of British Columbia's Point Grey campus. Reporter Sophie Hansen shows us the scene and explains how there have been multiple calls to action from demonstration organizers on site.
In a media release, organizers say the purpose of the encampment is to stand in solidarity with Palestine and encourage the international boycott of the university's investments with Israel. More pro-Palestinian camps have set up across BC, with some at the University of Victoria and Vancouver Island University. Members of the public have been donating food, supplies, and books to show support. Camp attendees say that they will continue to demonstrate on McInnes Field, rain or shine, until demands are met by administrators.
Moving on, news is here for London Drugs shoppers that after 7 days of closing, London Drugs is finally reopening its stores. The company says 40 stores are already opened, and they are looking forward to opening the rest by tomorrow. According to reporter Lisa Cofton, pharmacists are seen standing at the front of the closed doors to assist with those who need urgent assistance. London Drugs finds that for now, no data of pharmacy patients is found compromised. The company is asking the public to be patient as they work on reopening and attending to all the customers' needs. Additionally, in the wake of the cyber attack at London Drugs across stores in Western Canada, provincial government employees are being asked to change their passwords. The Office of the Chief Information Officer confirmed the urgent password change requests that began rolling out shortly after the shutdown, and said in a statement that their password length has increased from 10 to 14 characters. In the wake of invasive species being spread across British Columbia, the Parks, Recreational and Culture Board of Burnaby has launched several stewardship projects. Reporter Gina Tang spoke to environmentalist planner Melinda Young, who chimes in on the value of clearing invasive species to transform their surroundings.
Young shared her views on how clearing invasive species can transform their surroundings. The board brings knowledge on invasive species and their impact on the environment, which can be found on their website, the Invasive Species Council of Metro Vancouver, under Stewardship Burnaby. Participating in these events bring a deeper understanding, as Young expresses how seeing the before and after efforts that are involved makes people care about the topic significantly more.
Speaking on invasive species, the city of Vancouver is searching for ways to contain the recently discovered invasive emerald ash borer. The city is trying to take measures to squash the beetle. According to reporter Spencer Pomeroy, who spoke with Gail Wallen, the chair for the Invasive Species Council of BC, this situation is urgent, which is why the city is collaborating with multiple organizations to accomplish this mission.
Beetle commonly found attacking ash trees has been found in parts of 6 provinces and is spreading to new areas by movement of firewood and ash materials. Wallen recommends the public to report any sightings and to burn local and buy local.
Our reporter Spencer Pomeroy now joins us live to talk more in detail about the emerald ash borers. So, Spencer, where else can these beetles be found across Canada?
Well, Grace, according to the CFIA in 2001, they were first detected in the eastern USA, and they made their way across eastern Canada, specifically Ontario, Quebec, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and more recently over the past few years in Winnipeg and Manitoba. As of now in BC, only Vancouver has reported the beetle, but there is fear of it spreading.
And how are these emerald ash borers associated with camping?
Well, these beetles are commonly spread by firewood and the movement of the firewood. So if you take firewood from a location containing these beetles, you can transport it somewhere else for them to expand. Gail Wallen, the chair for the Invasive Species Council of BC, says to buy local and burn local.
Moving on, citizens of Vancouver are still moved from this year's Red Dress Day gathering. Hundreds of people in the city came together to spread awareness on the missing and murdered Indigenous woman in Canada. Vancouver MLA candidate Aranjit Lagheri was also seen attending to raise awareness.
It's also for our communities and the people who are coming from other parts of the world is to understand what Indigenous communities are here and what are they suffering from as they're experiencing at the moment, and how can this solution.
A Vancouver man, John William, losing his vision, is currently looking for someone to take home his massive collection of books. He owns 3,500 books that fill up over a dozen bookshelves in his apartment and believes that now is the right time to say goodbye to them. Preferably, he wants someone in their 30s or 40s to take them and keep them for another 20 or 30 years before giving it to someone else.
When that book disappears, there aren't any other books that I think are anything like that book. And I don't want that to disappear because I die or I go blind. I would like to pass it on to hopefully a 30 to 40-year-old, and then they will keep it for 20 or 30 years and then hopefully pass it on to somebody else.
Drive BC sends an important reminder to drivers in the province to be cautious of the wildlife they encounter while driving. The company posted a video on their socials of a unique traffic situation where a family of geese were getting help from motorists to cross a busy Vancouver area freeway. One adult goose and 5 goslings are seen trying to cross Highway 1 in Burnaby at about 5:30 p.m. and incoming traffic stopping to allow them to safely cross. A multi-vehicle accident that crashed into a store occurred last Saturday is discovered to have been alcohol-induced. The North Vancouver RCMP says the crash happened at the 300 block of Brooksbank Avenue, where the Tilford and Park Shopping Mall is located. The crash occurred at 8 p.m. and no injuries occurred. Internationally, after Columbia University canceled their university-wide commencement in the wake of ongoing pro-Palestinian protests, other schools have adopted similar practices. Emory University in Atlanta decided to move their commencement from their Atlanta campus to a suburban area. At New York University nearby, the protests have not ended despite school authorities getting rid of the pro-Palestinian encampments on school grounds. Reporter Stephanie Ramos shows the ongoing chaos in New York.
Massive new protests just outside NYU. Hundreds of pro-Palestinian protesters now gathering on the streets.
I think student movements historically have brought a lot of change.
Despite NYPD officers clearing tents, there are still protests in this area. Officers escorting the group to ensure the demonstration remains peaceful.
Up in Canada, negotiations are also attempted to be made to put a halt to the pro-Palestinian demonstrations on campus and in Montreal. According to Morgan Lowry from the Canadian Press, even after a meeting with school administration, the protesters who have set up encampments at McGill are not close to taking down their tents. The protesters claim the university did not give them a sufficient enough timeline to meet their demands. As a result, they are saying the university is complicit in Israel's occupation of Palestine and plan to maintain and expand their encampments until their voices are heard. News is here for sports fans that the City of Vancouver is finding ways to expand opportunities for public viewing events. This comes as the Vancouver Canucks prepares to host the Edmonton Oilers on Wednesday night. A statement from city officials shows they are aware of the high levels of interest for this series and plans to prepare for the big day. They also alert people driving in downtown ahead of time to prepare for traffic disruptions and road closures. The Pulitzer Prize event at Columbia in New York has commenced and winners have been announced. The New York Times and Washington Post won 3 Pulitzer Prizes for the work in 2023 that touched on topics ranging from the war in Gaza to gun violence. The Associated Press won a prize in the feature category for covering the global migration to the U.S. The most prestigious Pulitzer Award on public service was awarded to ProPublica for their groundbreaking reporting on the Supreme Court, revealing how billionaires wooed justices with gifts and travel. On to weather. This afternoon in Vancouver is sunny with partial cloudiness. It is currently 15 degrees Celsius. There is also a 60% chance of showers later in the afternoon. There will also be a 40% chance of showers in the evening, but is expected to clear up before the next morning.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Good afternoon. I am Keenan Trugaskis, and this is your sports update to 3:45. With the first round of the NHL playoffs wrapped up, the schedule for the Vancouver Canucks series with the Edmonton Oilers has been released. Game 1 will be on Wednesday, with the puck drop scheduled for 7 p.m. at Rogers Arena. With Thatcher Demko officially ruled out, head coach Rick Tocchet spoke about the benefits of having multiple capable goaltenders.
Well, it's good to have two guys that can, obviously Smitty had a great game against Edmonton. He had a great game. It was a game 2 against Nashville. So we got capable goalies here.
The Canucks swept the Oilers in their regular season series, and the two teams are the last two Canadian teams left in the playoffs. Winnipeg Jets head coach Rick Bowness is retiring after 38 seasons of coaching in the NHL. He was the coach of the Jets for the past 2 years, leading them to back-to-back playoff appearances. Bowness was also the assistant coach with the Canucks during their trip to the Stanley Cup Finals in 2011. He is one of 3 head coaches to serve behind the bench across 5 different decades. In his final NHL season, Bowness was nominated for the Jack Adams Award, leading the Jets to a franchise-tying 52-win season. Bowness said he knew when it was time to retire.
It probably dawned on me very quickly as I was walking off the ice after Tuesday's game. I wasn't happy with myself, wasn't happy with how the team played, people have always said, you'll know when it's time, and I think that hit me, okay, it's time.
Bowness coached for both versions of the Jets. The NHL has announced 6 finalists for the Willie O'Ree Community Hero Award. The award is given to a Canadian and an American and will be announced in June. Vancouver's Mark Burgeon has been nominated for his work as the founder of Diversity Athletics Society. They are a non-profit providing mentorship and athletic development to help keep kids in sports. He is joined by Toronto's Mark DeMontis and Hamilton's Alan Hirlehy. In 2023, the award was won by Dean Smith for his work as the head of Hockey Nova Scotia's Diversity and Inclusion Task Force. The second ever PWHL draft is taking place in June. Their draft will be 7 rounds long, just like the NHL draft. It will provide an opportunity to many players, including Ohio State's captain and Surrey native Jennifer Gardner.
But I am planning to attend the draft, as well as a lot of my friends from Ohio State who are graduating as well are going to go. And then my family will probably join me out there. And yeah, it's going to be super exciting to get to physically be there. And obviously, I got to watch the first inaugural draft on TV last year, and it was pretty cool. So just to have the opportunity to take part in one myself is going to be a pretty cool experience.
In the NFL, former BC Lions quarterback and Victoria native Nathan Rourke has been waived by the New England Patriots. This news comes after the Patriots drafted 2 rookie quarterbacks in the 2024 NFL Draft, including 3rd overall pick Drake May. Before being picked up by the Patriots, Rourke was on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Rourke played 23 career games for the BC Lions, but has yet to debut in an NFL regular season game. The second round of the NBA playoffs are underway, with 2 games taking place tonight. The New York Knicks and Indiana Pacers are playing their first game of the series. They are reigniting their 90s rivalry, where they played each other 6 times in the playoffs in an 8-year span. Tip-off is at 4:30. The Denver Nuggets and Minnesota Timberwolves play their second game of the series as the Timberwolves look to take both games on the road. In Game 1, Timberwolves shooting guard Anthony Edwards became the 3rd person to score 35-plus points in 3 straight playoff games before the age of 22. Edwards looks to extend that streak tonight with tip-off at 7 p.m. In the MLB, the Seattle Mariners head to Minnesota to face the Twins, who have won 12 of their past 13 games. This series marks the first time Mariners starting shortstop Jorge Polanco is returning to Minnesota since being traded from them on January 29th. Polanco spent over a decade in the Twins organization, playing just under 800 games with them, along with being a one-time All-Star. The Mariners are currently in first in the American League's West Division with a 19-15 record. This has been your sports update to 3:45. I am Keenan Trugaskis, and you are listening to The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow. This is 1680 The Crow, and you're listening to our feature presentation.
I didn't understand that I was like really legally blind until like going into 7th grade and into high school. I just thought I just needed glasses. I didn't see that well. But then going into the 7th grade, they're like, oh yeah, if you want to be able to go out, you have to learn how to use your cane and all this stuff, because my vision is mainly night blindness, so I don't see very well in dim places. So I had to learn how to use that so I can go out. I'm John T., member of the British Columbia and Canadian national goalball teams. My main primary objective is to make it to the Paralympics, qualify for the Paralympics, and then hopefully eventually win a medal. Originally, it's like thinking about making a Paralympic team, and a Paralympics was like, oh, that'd be kind of cool. As like a young person just getting into the sport. We had a couple other guys, it's like, oh yeah. And like you could, I could see like you look at the guys like, oh, this guy will probably make it, because like, oh, he's just that good. He's overall, he's really good. And it's like, I might make it kind of thing. And if I make it like as the 5 or 6, is like just getting to go would be really great. Just that experience of going. And then like, as you get older, it's like you want to play too, but it's also you want to be part of the team. You want to help the team, do whatever you can to make it for the team. So it's like, if it requires you to like make sure you're training harder than everyone else and pushing guys in the pool to make sure they're training hard. And then when you go to events, like even if you don't play that much, talk to the guys, make sure guys are ready to go, just do everything you can.
Goalball is a Paralympic sport that was invented in 1946 to help with the rehabilitation of visually impaired World War II veterans. The rules require the court to be 18 meters by 9 meters wide, with the goal stretching the entire ends of the court. The sport calls for 3 players on each team to be on the court at once, with a maximum of 3 spares on the bench. The ball has small bells inside of it so the athletes can hear where the ball is going. The game is won by scoring more goals in the allotted time, or a mercy rule of 10 goals is also in place. The game must be played in complete silence so the athletes can perform at the highest level. John practices with a group of people every Sunday at the Collingwood Community Centre in Vancouver. The group is extremely welcoming of anyone with a visual impairment.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.